Hi, welcome to That's Ready Mysterious, the show where every bite-sized mystery is rooted in reality. I'm your host, Kelly with an I, leading you through a maze of short stories that are filled with perplexing true mysteries. From missing people to unsolved crimes to eerie coincidences, each episode invites you to step into the unknown and question the ordinary. These tales aren't from fiction, they're stories history hasn't solved. Whether you seek suspense, love curious facts, or are just drawn to stories that linger in your mind, That's Ready Mysterious is your weekly passport into the truly strange, baffling, and unforgettable. Tune in and let the mysteries begin. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sreadymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about the Carancas meteor. David Sizdek, amateur geologist, said, "When I first saw the news reports, they just didn't seem right. Explosive impacts like this just don't happen." On September 15th, 2007, at 11:40:14.4, a meteor hit the ground near Carancas, Chucuito, Peru. The meteor was believed to have been between 7 and 12 metric tons, or about 7.7 to 13.2 U.S. tons. The initial diameter of the meteor was believed to have been between 1.6 to 2 meters, or 5.25 to 6.6 feet. The coordinates where the meteor landed were 16 degrees, 39 minutes, 52 seconds south, 69 degrees, 2 minutes, 38 seconds west. There was a huge detonation where the meteor struck. Eyewitnesses claimed to have seen a smoke trail which fell from the sky and exploded on contact with the ground. Windows in the area were broken and buildings were damaged by the ejected debris from the impact. A mushroom cloud arose from the ground after the impact and stayed for several minutes. At the same time as the impact, in the city of Puno, seismology recorded a small earthquake. The earthquake had the energetic equivalent of 17 gigajoules or 4 tons of TNT. The meteor hit the remote highlands of Peru. It left behind a crater that was 13.8 meters, or about 45 feet in diameter, and almost 6 meters, or about 20 feet deep. The northern wall of the crater was 1 meter, or about 3 feet above the original ground level, and was higher than the southern wall. It was the first impact crater where the formation was directly seen by more than one witness and had the first unambiguous seismic recording of a crater formation. Fragments of the stony meteorite were found near the impact site. A grayish powder substance was in the crater. There were granules in the meteor that make it an H4-5 ordinary chondrite. It was a meteor made from H-group breccia, made of both type 4 and type 5 components. This type of meteor has a lot of chondrules and has been through metamorphism, which changed the mineral composition, including transformation of low Ca pyroxene into orthopyroxene in type 5 components. This gives insight into the history and processes that shaped materials in our early solar system. Chondrite meteorites get their name from the chondrules, which are almost spherical, silicate-rich particles within the stone. Chondrules have never melted. 86% of the meteorites found on Earth are chondrite meteorites. Chondrite meteorites are very vulnerable to ablation, which is cracking, eroding, or exploding. As a result, they are less likely to make it to Earth's surface in large pieces, making the Carancas meteor even more confusing. It was about the size of a small dining table. Fragments from this meteor contain minerals like olivine, pyroxene, and feldspar. The crater quickly filled with groundwater after the impact due to the shallow water table in the area. Witnesses said that the water inside the crater was boiling hot and that there was a strong sulfur smell arising from the crater. Witnesses collected black pieces of rock that seemed to have come from the meteor, and they seemed to be smoking. Police who responded within an hour of the meteor hitting said that the crater was not hot. It's believed that the bubbles in the water could have been due to the release of gases that had been trapped below the surface of the Earth before the meteor hit. Shortly after the meteor struck, people started getting sick. Many blamed the meteor. Rumors swirled that the fragments that had been collected were toxic or cursed. The symptoms of the strange illness included nausea, dizziness, headaches, vomiting without obvious cause, and skin lesions. Before too long, the nearby hospitals were full of the sick. Nestor Quispe, mayor of the municipality to which Carancas belongs, told the BBC that a lot of people in the town had fallen ill and that he thought there was a certain psychological fear in the community. The villagers thought that the water supply was contaminated. One resident of Carancas said that the water they used for the animals, for them, and for everything looked contaminated. He continued, "We don't know what is going on at the moment. That is what we are worried about." Andina, Peru's official government news, said that a total of 200 people were seen by doctors and blood samples were taken for 15 people who were believed to have been closest to the meteor. Supposedly hundreds had fallen ill, but only 180 were seen at the clinic. There was a rumor in the village that if you had the symptoms, you could get free treatment, which could have led to some complaining to be ill due to the meteor when they weren't. In addition to the illness in humans, there were reports of livestock bleeding from the noses and of some dying. Gonzalo Tancredi, a Uruguayan astronomer, said that reports of the impact confused everyone. Some scientists thought it may have been a hoax. He said, "At the beginning, there were some doubts about what really happened there. We thought maybe it was a meteor fall, or maybe it was something else, even something fake." However, when Tancredi went to the impact site, it became obvious to him that a meteor had struck. He talked to locals who described the mushroom cloud over the crater, and who also described the compression waves that knocked villagers down. He found pieces of soil and rock that had been launched more than 275 meters, or over 300 yards from the crater. One piece went through the roof of a barn 100 meters, or over 300 feet away from the crater. The things ejected from the impact proved it was a genuine and powerful meteor strike. Michael Farmer, who is a controversial person in the geological community, is a meteorite hunter and poacher of alien rocks. He travels to impact sites around the world and usually finds bullet hole impacts. He sells what he finds for profit and is completely self-taught about meteors. He was originally skeptical of the reports out of Peru. 16 days after the impact, he traveled to the crater. He collected 10 kilograms, or 22 pounds, of small meteorite fragments and sold it to private collectors for $100 per gram. Within minutes of getting to the crater, Farmer determined it was a chondrite meteorite, not one made of iron. What got people close to the impact crater sick? There are several theories. Some think the illness was at least partly caused by superstition about the stars. Carancas Mayor Maximiliano Trujillo believes this theory. He got together a meeting of about 800 people, the largest ever held in the village, to listen to scientists explain about the meteorite. Some still didn't believe the scientific explanations, though, and instead believed that the meteorite was summoned by the gods as a bad omen for the future. Some experts think that arsenic seeped into the groundwater and vaporized when the meteor impacted. The arsenic then got into the air as a gas and caused those nearby to get sick. The problem with this theory is that if there were arsenic in the groundwater, it would have made people ill from drinking it long before the meteor hit. Blood samples, urine samples, and water samples from inside the crater and at some wells showed high levels of arsenic in some cases. The arsenic content in the crater was lower than the arsenic content in the wells. Some experts say the illness was caused by mass hysteria, not by arsenic. Pravda, an online Russian newspaper, ran the headline, "American Spy Satellite Downed in Peru as U.S. Nuclear Attack in Iran Thwarted," 5 days after the impact. The story said that the illness was caused by radiation from the satellite's plutonium generator. David Sizdek wrote a blog post on September 18th entitled, "Meteorite Strike in Peru Gassing Villagers? Maybe Not," in which he blamed a mud volcano for releasing toxic gases that made people ill. Schultz, Harris, and Tancredi think that the illness was caused by panic. To assuage fears, the mayor put in place 2 different things. The first was that he asked Marshal Laura Arequipe, one of the last 2 shamans left in the village, to perform a sacred sacrifice. She sacrificed a baby llama. The mayor also had a fence constructed around the crater and guarded it for several weeks. In the days following the impact, some said that the meteor falling was the result of extraterrestrial activity, but this was later debunked. Some think that the reports of illness were exaggerated and just caused by sulfur vapor. One of the biggest questions about the Carancas meteor is how fast it was falling. Some calculations say that it was falling at 10,000 miles an hour when it landed. Another one of the big questions is how it managed to fall to Earth in such an intact state when normally meteors like this would break up into much smaller pieces in our atmosphere. How did such a large chondrite meteorite manage to fall to the ground in Carancas, Peru? How fast was it going when it crash-landed into Earth? How did it make so many people ill? What do you think? Thank you for joining me on our adventure through today's mystery. The stories that That's Ready Mysterious covers are often stranger than fiction. If you enjoyed today's tale, subscribe to make sure you never miss a story that challenges the ordinary and reveals the mysterious. Until next time, keep questioning and remember the world is full of mysteries yet to be explored.